The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. And if you'd like to listen to us 7/24/365, just go to www.xzbn.net/live HTM. My guest this hour is Adam Gorightly, and he's a self-described crackpot historian. For 2 decades, Adam Gorightly's articles have appeared in nearly every zine, underground magazine, computer, cultural publication, and conspiratorial website imaginable, bringing a mischievous sense of prankster, Discordians, to the zany world of the fringe culture. Once Gorightly connects the dots, readers are plunged into an alternative universe which forever alter their view of reality. Joining me now is the one and Adam Gorightly. And Adam, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on again, Rob.
It's always great talking to you, Adam. So let's see, what have you been up to since you and I last talked a couple of years ago?
Well, shucks, I think the last time we talked, we were discussing my book, The Prankster and the Conspiracy, about Kerry Thornley, the Kennedy assassination. Yeah. I think it was more than a couple years ago, and one of the things I've been doing is traveling throughout California and the Southwest, some of the stranger environs you'll come across, and meeting interesting people and documenting it in this latest book, Happy Trails to High Weirdness, which is really a collection of stuff. Some of it goes back 20 years or so, but a lot of more of the material in there is more recent adventures.
So, what have like when it comes to the conspiracies that you and I have talked about in the past? Has there been any change? Has there been any smoking guns that have been discovered, and how close are we to getting to the real truth?
Boy, that's the question, isn't it? With the started out long ago, going down the rabbit hole of the Kennedy assassination, and they've never found the ultimate smoking gun. I don't know if we've found any for to tie up any of these conspiracies, really, like the 9/11, the Kennedy assassination, on and on. We suspect certain things. There's patterns that emerge, once again, with all the assassinations that came out of the 60s, and the lone nut gunmen we see appear on scene every few years that seem to be ushered out to cover up things, but I can't hand you any smoking gun. I in my books, I try to connect the dots. Like I had a book on the Manson family, and you look at Charles Manson's background, you start connecting dots. You can connect him with all people from the movie industry to the rock world, and even intelligence connections there. But to a lot of times to find that ultimate smoking gun, it's kind of hard to do.
All right, Adam, please stand by. You and I have to take our first commercial break. Thanks very much for coming back, and congratulations on everything you're doing. Sounds like you're having a good time, and you're one of the guys who proves that truth is stranger than fiction. Stand by, buddy. We'll be right back. Exonation, my guest this hour is Adam Gorightly, and his website is www.adamgorightly.com. That's www.adamgorightly.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits, and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, old Florida cuisine at its best. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, UFOs, or psychic phenomenon? Join me, Tim Bartley, co-host of Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, coming mid-January 2017 to the XZBN. We will channel spirits live and talk to them, revealing all kinds of amazing information. Spiritual attachments will be found and removed on the show, and so much more. To find out when you can listen to Talking to Spirits with Lightworkers Tim and Justina, visit www.xzbn.net for listeners on both sides of the veil.
And welcome back, everyone. Adam Gorightly is my special guest this hour. And Adam, why do you describe yourself as a crackpot historian?
Well, on the one hand, I write a lot about a lot of different interesting people who I guess you could term crackpots, like I mentioned before, Kerry Thornley and Charles Manson and roller derby star Ronnie Raines, the conspiracy theorist James Shelby Downer. These have all been subjects, or you could look at it, perhaps I'm the crackpot. I like to have fun with conspiracies, which is not to say that I don't take them seriously, but if you don't have, try to keep some sort of perspective and sense of humor about these areas of endeavor, they'll drive you crazy.
I'd like to talk to you, if I could, about the MK Ultra. That's where the CIA was using patients in hospitals in Canada and the United States under Ewan Cameron to actually test different procedures, we can say. And I've got a very vested interest in that, Adam, because at the Allen Memorial Institute, where Dr. Ewan Cameron operated his Canadian experiments, my mom, unbeknownst to her at the time, was actually one of the patients that was subjected to the MK Ultra testing and cases. What is your take on the MK Ultra?
Well, I think it's bad juju. in so many words, and look at the history of the roots, where it all came from. It began with the CIA back in the 50s. It really surfaced, but it even goes back to Nazi Germany, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with Project Paperclip,
Yes.
and how we imported a lot of the Nazi technology with the rockets, but a lot of this MK Ultra mind control, the Nazis were messing around with that during World War II, Dr. Mengele. So this got imported, and in the U.S. and Canada as well. Ewan Cameron is a notorious name, Dr. Jolly West, and it's been documented that they did some bad things with the military in particular, and that comes up in my book, The Prankster and the Conspiracy. Interestingly enough, it looks like Lee Harvey Oswald was tampered with MK Ultra. He was stationed, Oswald, at Atsugi Air Base in Japan in the late 50s, and what surfaced later in a Rolling Stone article in the early 80s was that Atsugi not only was it the CIA's Far East base of operations, but it was where they had these MK Ultra experiments going on with LSD. And there was a curious incident when Oswald, at one point, he was out on guard duty, started screaming and discharging his weapons. His superiors came to him and found him curled up on sobbing and saying there were men in the trees. And a lot of people look back on this incident later that he was having some type of LSD freak out. There's another interesting story where the assistant district attorney in New Orleans in October of 1963 had a young man visit him asking about the legality of importing LSD into the country, and he said he had a source for it. The only source at that time was the CIA. A month later, this district attorney, Ed Gillen, was shocked to see that the same guy who had visited him was none other than Lee Harvey Oswald, who had been picked up on the Kennedy assassination. So when we talk about these lone nuts and patsies, in a lot of cases they appear as if they've been tampered with MK Ultra wise. Sirhan is another prime example.
There's speculation that is coming out now that Sirhan did not act alone. What is your take on that?
This has come out in the last decade or so. People doing research, and it's much like the JFK assassination. When you look at the shots that have been fired and the distance they've been fired, the trajectory where they're coming from, particularly in Oswald's case and Sirhan, it appears there was another shooter that at point-blank range. Sirhan wasn't at point-blank range. There was a security officer a security guard basically, that many suspect fired the fatal shot. Who knows if exactly what Sirhan did. He, prior to the assassination, he met the infamous girl in the polka-dotted dress who handed him a cup of coffee there in the Ambassador Ballroom, and he was very vague about what exactly he did after that.
So do you think Sirhan was the scapegoat, as so many believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was in the case of President Kennedy?
I do. I'm careful when I say I believe certain things about conspiracy theories, because I don't like to totally close off any alternate theories, keep my mind open. But you do. I suspect if we're going to go from, percentage-wise, probably 90% convinced that he was a scapegoat.
Adam, in your opinion, no, this is just your opinion, so I'm not putting you on the cross. What is the greatest conspiracy that you have seen?
Well, I think this isn't too, might not be too sexy for some people, but well, I'll give you the most compelling and that really set things in motion is the Kennedy assassination. Of course, because what it did to our country, it looked like Kennedy was getting ready to pull us out of Vietnam, and there was a total switch there, and we become the military-industrial complex keepers of the world, As far as the most interesting, mind-blowing conspiracy theory, and I read a bit about this a bit in the book, is Happy Trails to High Weirdness, is this theory about Tuesday Weld being a Illuminati high priestess of all things, who kind of engineered these 60s counterculture and oversaw the whole Illuminati network. A pretty mind-blowing thing to wrap your head around, but this is information that came from a source by the name of Jeff Turner, a very colorful character who I write about in the book. So perhaps the most compelling is the JFK conspiracy. Perhaps the most fun is this Tuesday Weld Illuminati high priestess conspiracy.
There seems to be a number of uncanny coincidences when it comes to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy and the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. For example, Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Lincoln was elected president in 1860. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. The name Lincoln and Kennedy each contain 7 letters. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary, Kennedy, warned him not to go to the theater. Kennedy's secretary, Lincoln, warned him not to go to Dallas. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Both successors were named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald was born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their 3 names. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. Booth ran from the theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Both Oswald and Booth were assassinated before their trials. Is this sheer coincidence, or was this careful planning?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a mind blower, all those quote-unquote coincidences, synchronicities. Certain conspiracy researchers, say there is a grand design, and they use numerology in certain places. I've written a bit about a guy named James Shelby Downard, who had this very sophisticated theory that the Freemasonry was behind the Kennedy assassination and a bunch of other critical events, and they were all perpetrated on the 33rd degree latitude, which if you trace across the country goes straight through Daley Plaza, and there was a number 3 came up again and again in the Kennedy assassination. So perhaps these are much more than a coincidence. One thing that came to mind, I'm not sure that Lincoln had as many girlfriends as Kennedy.
That is true. And, when we come back from the news, I'd like to talk to you about the Kennedy-Monroe connection. Adam, great having you back with us. We'll have to do this more often, friend. Adam Gorightly is our special guest, Exonation, www.adamgorightly.com. Just another reminder, I'll be the Master of Ceremonies at the Body, Soul, Spirit Expo being held at the International Center in Toronto, actually Mississauga, 6900 Airport Road in Mississauga, May 25th until the 27th. We're giving away 2,500 DVDs that have the April and May editions of the X Chronicles, some of our most asked for interviews, videos, and much more. That's May 25th to 27th at the International Centre, 6900 Airport Road in Mississauga, Ontario. For more information, www.bodysoulspiritexpo.com. My name's Rob McConnell. We'll be back after the news. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Welcome back, everyone. My guest this hour is Adam Gorightly, and his website is www.adamgorightly.com. Before we went to the commercial break, Adam, we were talking about the conspiracy theories, and of course the one that always pops up is the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And when you look at the Kennedy family, you know, Dad Joe Kennedy wasn't a real honest guy, and, you know, there's questions there. And then Bobby and John kind of had a fling going with Marilyn Monroe. J. Edgar Hoover was after their tails, but you've got a guy who here with J. Edgar Hoover who used to like to wear ballet tutus. So, you know, who's wrong here? You know, was there a connection between the death of Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys?
You know, once again, the smoking gun, we don't really have on that, but it's interesting to note that, yeah, you had Marilyn die in a suicide. You know, that's a pretty convenient cover of getting rid of somebody. Yeah. You also had Mary Pinchot Meyer. Are you familiar with her?
No, I'm not.
Oh, well, another one of JFK's girlfriends, whose husband was Cord Meyer of the CIA. And if you believe some reports, it appears that Mary Pinchot Meyer, she was good friends with Timothy Leary, had access to LSD and might have very well turned JFK on. And, of course, you know, that's a paradigm shatterer for people who've experimented with LSD. It puts you in a state of mind where you're one with the universe and you see there's no reason for war. But anyway, Mary Pinchot Meyer, shortly after JFK got his cranium catapulted across Dealey Plaza, she was also murdered in Washington, D.C. by... well, they pinned it on a African-American guy who they said was some type of thief or something, but many people suspect that Mary Pinchot Meyer, like Marilyn Monroe, might have been privy to certain information that did them in. And, yeah, as you noted, it appears that both JFK and RFK were intimate with Marilyn, and all of them are gone. All of them died in very violent, well, not Marilyn, but everybody else died in pretty violent ways.
When it comes to the UFO, what do we call it? A UFO clique, clan, club? You know, going back 20 years ago, I think that the UFO community had a lot more credibility when I first started this show. now,
Me too.
now it's like they're a bunch of yahoos. They remind me now of the CB radio clubs of the 70s. And there doesn't seem to be anybody out there with a lot of credibility that you can actually go to and say, all right, what is your opinion, and make sense of it. I think that, and this is just my opinion, that with the internet, ufology has fallen apart.
It's funny you should say that. I write for UFO magazine, so I'm kind of a UFO pundit, and I dip my toes in those waters. And I wrote an article a couple issues back called Ufology's Jersey Shore, which kind of dealt with this issue, because a lot of the younger or whoever folks that got involved in it, it's this mentality of, a lot of good things have come out of the internet, but on the other hand, with the social media, I think in that the reality TV mentality, it's more of people trying to pump themselves up as personalities, not really doing the serious field research or that ufologists did in the past. I think there's still some good people, but the signal gets drowned out by all the noise. I'll send that article.
I'd really appreciate that, Alan. Adam. And you know what? I think something else that is crushing the signal. I think it's those tinfoil hats they wear.
Well, you have a spectrum. You have the far out people in ufology that they're wedded. I entertain some pretty interesting theories about ufology, but I keep my mind open. I'm an open-minded skeptic, and I've had some strange experiences in my life, but there's, with the disclosure movement and people wedded to ETs as our friends, it's once you pin yourself down and, that's what you quote-unquote believe in, then it's just there's no room for growth and entertaining other ideas.
I had Stephen Bassett on the show a couple of months ago when he was doing his online petition with the White House, and it got canceled because there weren't enough people that were interested. And then and I asked him at that point, prior to it being learned that the White House had dropped the petition because it didn't get the numbers that required to stay active. I said, what happens if it fails? Is this a signal to you that people have lost interest in ufology? And I can't get a direct answer from these people.
Well, Stephen Bassett will never give up. He has a lot of passion about the subject, but if you look throughout the history of ufology, every decade there's some type of they call it disclosure now, but in previous eras it was, the truth. We need the truth from the government. They're hiding something. Sometimes I suspect that, perhaps they are hiding things. Maybe it's more about covert technology.
Exactly.
But I think they're probably as confounded by some of the stranger UFO reports as we are. It's a mystery to them as well. And kind of the party line of disclosure is that, they're sitting on the information about back-engineered craft, and when all of this is released and we know about our pact with the aliens and we'll all have free energy and everything will be good. And, as far as not drumming up enough interest, people are more concerned about the state of the economy and these type of things. Once that gets better, maybe we can get fired up about ET disclosure again.
If there is such a project as reverse engineering, wouldn't we be more advanced when it came to space flight?
You would think so.
Yeah.
What don't we know about, though? I often wonder what's going on.
That's just like saying that the ETs brought Tang to Earth. Give me a break. And it seems that when there's anything that is a technological breakthrough, it has to be the aliens, because we're not smart enough to do it. And I think that this is a bunch of bunk. We don't give ourselves enough credit for our technological advances.
Yeah. I hear you. I've had some strange experiences, and my theory is more that if you look once again through history, there's sightings of strange things, the little fairy lore, the little green people, and I think there's perhaps, there could be what they call window areas. Occultists call them gateways, where there's interdimensional critters here. And when we see them, it's kind of a symbiotic thing, and we translate kind of what they are. In the 1800s, you had airships.
Yes.
As the technology evolved, then you started seeing the saucers and the UFOs. And during those early days of the sightings, they were coming from Venus and Mars. When we realized that really wasn't probable, then they started coming from Alpha Centauri and other places. I think at the at the core of the phenomena, there's something strange happening.
Tell me, do you really think that Kenneth Arnold saw UFOs, or do you think that Kenneth Arnold saw experimental aircraft?
Well, UFO is an unidentified flying object, so he saw something he couldn't identify.
Right.
It's so long ago, it's hard for me to say what he saw. It could have been, I lean more towards experimental aircraft. Obviously, there's never been any proof that we've been visited by ETs.
So why does the public gravitate towards these kind of stories?
Well, it's the mystery of it. Obviously, we that's what excites folks. That it could, what's behind all of this? Are extraterrestrials visiting? It's like a detective novel, I think. At least that's what initially attracted me to these stories. As you dig a little deeper into it, when I was young, in my late teens, 20s, that was the framework I had to go with. They were ETs, but as you look in, to any subject more deeper, you could say, well, in a lot of cases, it's experimental covert aircraft. Sometimes it's people going. One thing with abductions and all of these, they all seem to be related to trance states.
Yeah.
You could put people in the hypnotic trance state, or even at the when they do the abduction regression, or a lot of the early contactees. A lot of times, it's interesting to note that they went into a trance state, or they were meditating before they saw these things. And so,
let me ask
there's
you.
no simple answer.
What's your take on the Roswell crash? Or no, let me rephrase that: the Roswell incident.
There's a lot of theories out there. I don't think it was E.T. It could have, that cover of the E.T. probably gets thrown out there a lot to cover up things. Obviously, like Area 51. What was going out there? Is it some type of toxic dump? I've heard in recent years out in Dulce, the air base there, and the cattle mutilation. Was there some radiation storage going on? So I suspect the government was testing something. They talk about those mogul balloons out in
New Mexico,
Roswell, and I've heard other theories. Once again, there's been no physical evidence we've ever, capturing a Bigfoot. Until we see that, I would say this as well. If an ET landed in my backyard today, I would suspect I was being manipulated. There's a lot of stories. We could talk about MK Ultra with the whole MyLab thing, where it's a cover for mind control stuff.
You know, it's so strange when you actually talk to the people who are dead believers in Roswell, New Mexico, Area 51, this, that, and the other thing. Oh my gosh, this plane doesn't have any tail numbers. It has no ID. It's got to be a government conspiracy, black ops, the men from black, blah, blah, blah. But now I was talking to Kevin Randall last month, who was a diehard believer in the Roswell incident. Now he is saying that the majority of UFO investigators who once believed that it was a UFO are now looking at some very interesting evidence that takes the onus off of extraterrestrials and puts it onto experimental craft.
Sure took them a long time to come around.
Well, you know,
that was 1947,
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, what can I tell you? At least, you know, they're looking into it, and we're going to be having him on in the future to talk about their latest discoveries. And, you know, my question is, what's going to happen to Stanton Friedman?
Yeah, he has a lot invested in that, but, you know, he has his built-in audience, and I have a certain amount of respect for Stanton Friedman. He's not going to go away anytime soon. You know, you have this whole... still have that scene of the UFO conferences and MUFON and those groups, and you always have that hardcore audience. It's dwindling. It's not what it once was, you know, at any of these. And I write about that in the book.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that when we come back from this commercial break. Adam Gorightly, thanks very much for joining us. Always great talking to you. Adam Gorightly's website is www.adamgorightly.com, and Adam and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
19 Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant, check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today. www.soulbalancing.world.
Welcome back, everyone. Don't forget, May 25th to May 27th, 2012, I'll be the Master of Ceremonies at the Body, Soul, Spirit Expo being held at the International Centre, 6900 Airport Road in Toronto, Ontario. Actually, it's Mississauga, but everybody calls Mississauga Toronto. What the heck? Pretty soon Toronto's going to be the entire province of Ontario. If you'd like more information on who's going to be there, special discount prices, Dr. Turi is going to be there with me, as well as some other great people. We had Nancy Pintella on earlier tonight, and Dr. Luke Lemire. They're going to be there as well. Just go to the website. It's a great website. All the information you need is there at www.bodysoulspiritexpo.com. That's www.bodysoulspiritexpo.com. Adam Gorightly has been my guest this hour. AdamGoRightly.com. First of all, Adam, great having you with us. I understand you're taking a well-deserved vacation with your wife. You're going down to Peru and Bolivia.
Yep, looking forward to it. Should be interesting.
You have a safe trip, my friend. Before we went to the commercial break, we were talking about these conventions, these UFO conventions, and you were saying, and I've seen this myself, where the numbers are decreasing.
Yeah, I've spoke at some couple, 2-3 conventions over the years, so it's kind of taken in that scene. And yeah, usually the audiences are pretty small. I went 2007 Roswell. That was that was the 60th anniversary, and I was a speaker there, along with the likes of Stephen Bassett, for one, and Stanton Friedman, and that was a huge deal. And every the 10-year anniversaries, they're pretty well attended. But overall, yeah, you see the dwindling numbers. You see the same people at these conventions. Interesting to note, my friend Nick Redfern.
There's a great guy. I love Nick. He is super.
Well, 2007, he caused a bit of a stir there, and I took in his lecture because he had that book, Body Snatchers in the Desert.
Yeah.
If you're familiar, and it kind of presented the theories that the aliens they thought they saw were these victims of this disease called progerins. I'm not sure.
Progeria. Yeah.
There you go. Thanks for the help. And so he presented that there and got a bit of flack, but Nick's pretty tough cookie, and he stood up to the challenges. And Nick, he's once again an open-minded skeptic. He's willing to entertain different theories, but the town of Roswell, there's a they profit quite a bit and have quite an investment in the ET thesis.
When I was in the police force, we were taught one thing to always remember: there's 3 sides to every story: his side, her side, and the truth. Adam, we've run out of time for tonight, but do me a favor. When you come back and you've had a bit of a rest, come back and join us, because we still have so much to talk about, and it's always a great pleasure having you on the show. Where can people get copies of your book, Adam?
Amazon.com. Look for Happy Trails to High Weirdness, Adam Gorightly. That's the easiest way to do it. And yes, I'd love to come back on anytime, Rob.
You take care of yourself. Have a great vacation. Regards to your family. And thanks very much for visiting us tonight.
Thank you.
Take care, Adam. www.adamgorightly.com. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone here in Master Control, my beautiful wife and executive producer, the one and only Laura Rogers. And thank you, Exo Nation. Thank you for allowing us and for making us one of the most popular radio shows around. Yeah, there you go. So until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, when once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. Take care of each other, and always, always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.